more, and then I'm going to let you guys work on Lab 20, which is still dealing with the special senses. So now, for the endocrine system, one of the things that we definitely want to understand, we want to understand the connection between the hypothalamus and my pituitary gland. So let's look a little further at this connection. Gigi, can you see that pretty good back there? Yeah. Okay. Now, one of the things that I've kept saying is how the hypothalamus regulates primitive functions, meaning it's regulating functions such as hunger, thirst, some of our emotions, the ability to sense danger, anything, the reproduction, all this sort of stuff, anything to keep that species alive, okay? And note that I was pointing to myself when I said species, not species, okay? To keep that organism alive, because the goal is to make sure that the species propagate. If you look at these organs of the endocrine system, these organs of the endocrine system are focused on keeping that species alive and helping it propagate. Is that correct? When you look at stuff like the thyroid gland, ovaries, testes, all that stuff is working to keep the organism alive. So, for the most part, that pituitary gland is termed the master gland because we see this direct connection to the hypothalamus, and because of the structural makeup of this gland. I mentioned that we have the anterior portion and the posterior portion. The pituitary gland as a whole is termed the hypophysis, okay? Somebody was inventive in lab that day, okay? So the whole gland is termed the hypophysis. It hangs or suspends from the hypothalamus by way of this stalk, and that stalk is my infundibulum. Once again, somebody got inventive in lab that day, okay? There might be a meaning for that term, I just never looked it up, okay? So, the way that they refer to the pituitary gland, because of its structure, the anterior portion is cellular, and they call this the adenohypophysis, AA, okay? Anterior adeno. The posterior portion is neurons, so they refer to the posterior portion as the neurohypophysis. Their structure is very different when you look at it under a scope. The job that each portion does is very different, okay? The anterior portion, it is the largest. Now, have you guys ever heard of a portal system? Okay, what do you think of when you hear the term port? An access. Anything else come to mind? Something moving. I think of water. The ship is docked at the port. Okay? We have what we're going to learn. 2 portal systems in our body. This is one. This is the hypophyseal portal system. But what does that mean? Oh my goodness. I don't know. Y'all know? I don't know. Yep. No? Okay, let's try to figure this out. Because sometimes, all right, when you first hear it, you're going, what? So, let's try to break this down just a little bit. Because this is important. Because like I said, there are only 2 portal systems in the body. This is one of them. And it's very unique what it does. So, this stalk, okay, you know how like in your textbook and stuff, they try to give an enlarged view of something? So this is going to kind of be my enlarged view of the infundibulum. Now, my infundibulum connects to my pituitary gland, which has an anterior and a posterior portion. That tells me that I have to have part of it go to the posterior, part of it go to the anterior. Does that make sense? Okay, so now, if we look at it this way, once again, my hypothalamus, now an infundibulum, part of it going to the anterior, part of it going to the posterior. Is everybody with me? So, my anterior portion, working by way of a portal system, what this is telling me, I have a network of capillaries in my hypothalamus. I have a network of capillaries in my anterior portion. And that network is connected. Yes, no, maybe. Now, in my understanding of capillaries, I know I have blood flow in and out. Is that correct? In a portal system, the blood flow to this capillary, all right, blood flow to this capillary, rather than flowing back out to the venous portion, I simply have it continue to the next set of capillaries before hitting the venous portion. So basically, I get to see the blood flow from this set of capillaries in my hypothalamus to this set of capillaries in my anterior pituitary. What does that mean?
The hypothalamus tells the pituitary gland what to do.
Wish I could say what I want to say, but I can't. Okay. Two systems control my body. Nervous, endocrine. Endocrine, direct relationship to my nervous system, which is my hypothalamus. My hypothalamus gets to tell my pituitary gland what to do. So, that tells me that the hypothalamus, my hypothalamus, is going to be able to communicate to my anterior pituitary with messengers, chemicals, molecules. Okay, is everybody with me? With molecules, boom, boom, yeah, I hope y'all can see the blue, okay, that get to travel down this portal system straight to my pituitary gland, and they do not have to go to the bloodstream. We have two of these systems in the body, okay? What this is letting us know, that direct communication is taking place. It does not have to leave the hypothalamus, make its way through the bloodstream, and come into the pituitary. Whatever happens in the hypothalamus gets to go directly to the pituitary. And then all these cells that are located in this cellular portion, if they have a receptor for the information, they go to work, their product makes it to the bloodstream and goes to the target organ. Yes, no, maybe? Okay, so that is how communication occurs in the anterior portion. So my anterior portion, okay, that portal system, we get direct communication without anything having to go back to the bloodstream until it makes it to the anterior pituitary. So, bada bing, bada boom. Direct control. So, once again, I've got that anterior portion working by way of the portal system. So what is it that happens with the posterior portion? Over here again, in the blown up part, okay? If you remember, we said these were nerve cells. So what I now have is termed hypothalamo-hypophyseal tract. Right. That is what goes to the posterior portion, and because it is a tract, okay, It simply has